Hey, top of the morning to you, and welcome to the Auspicious Wellness Optimal Wellness Podcast. Come on in, have a virtual seat at the table. It's time for our Monday morning drive time show. We're broadcasting live here in studio. We don't do ordinary, but we endeavor to bring you an extraordinary experience, the Auspicious Wellness Experience. My name is Debbie Smith-Torrence, your host. I'm a life and health coach, a manufacturing cannabinoid molecules, for short CBD, and an IT developer. We are broadcasting live in studio on the platforms of Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Alexa, Podcast Addict, Podchasers, Deezer, Listen Note, Podbean, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castro, and Castbox. I just have to salute all my listeners from whatever platform they're coming to me on this morning. And guess what? Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's time to dig in, to drill down, and figure out where we're going today. And be true to you. Our episode today is centered around the yo-yo diet, and all of us have actually gone through that. You know what it feels like. That's it right there. And so with that being said, I also have a wonderful person in studio with me this morning. In the second part of our segment, we will be featuring Melesha Baily, another fellow health coach. Her practice is called Life for Wellness. She's online with me here today, and we're going to just try and bring you an awesome show. And so with that, let's jump in and get started. We all know what it is and what a yo-yo diet is, and why is it a problem for you. Melesha, I want to, just really salute you for all that you're doing, all the ways that you are really jumping in and helping people. Let me just give you the mic for a few minutes. Melesha, tell us about your practice and your practice area and what you're doing before we jump into this yo-yo diet. So I just want to bring a wonderful person to the mic this morning with me. Melesha, the mic is yours, and I'm going to come back in probably in about 2-3 minutes. I just want to give you a minute to just say hello to our listeners this morning before we jump into this segment. So Melesha, go ahead and take the mic, girl.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Debbie, for this opportunity to address your audience, be on the show, and talk about wellness. I'm all about health and wellness. I'm all about living your best life, and I'm all about having a natural approach to wellness. My practice is Love for Life Wellness. I have been a health coach and for over about 3 years now, and I started from my own place of sickness, and I know about that yo-yo dieting because I've probably lost the same 40-50 pounds over and over again with yo-yo dieting. And so it becomes, it can be like a hamster wheel. You're going around and around. And so the goal is to get off the yo-yo dieting and start having a lifestyle that's going to give you happiness, joy, and create the abundant health from the inside out. So
yes.
I'm excited to be on with your listeners of Auspicious Wellness and ready to dive in on this most important subject about yo-yo dieting. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Debbie. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. I'm just so proud of you and all the things that you're accomplishing in your practice. But let's dive in. It's going to be a minute, and then we're going to bring Melesha back in, and she's going to share some information with you, and she's going to also share a few of her techniques, her success areas, and what's near and dear to her in coaching. Today, I really wanted to talk about something that a lot of people really struggle with, and that is a diet. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't want people to continue to use the word, I'm going on a diet. I really, after today's segment, I hope that you say, I'm going to have a lifestyle change. And we have really highlighted some areas of why the yo-yo diet does not work. A diet It's not about a diet, because if you say diet, then that tricks your psyche to feel like, okay, I got to eat a certain way for a certain amount of time, and then when I lose the weight, then I'll be okay. But that's not always the case. A lot of times you lose the weight, you gain the weight back, and then you're super, you go through things. And so let's outline some of these things. Well, first of all, when you do that, you're not really giving your body the nutrients that it actually really needs on a consistent basis. And then from that, you're going to have increased appetite. And it's really actually going to lead to more weight gain over time. And when you do that, you turn your body into storing fat, actually, and you have a higher percentage of fat. So your body starts to store fat, and it can lead to muscle loss. It can lead to weight gain. It leads to having a fatty liver. It can cause frustration. And then let's go back to this muscle loss. When you lose weight, you lose about 30% of muscle. And so that's something. And then next thing you know is I lost this weight, and I thought I was going to tone up, but now I'm more flabby. That's because you're going up, down, and your body can only take so much. And one of the problems that is not talked about, which we must identify here today, is cutting calories will help you lose weight, but dieting alone, it can do that muscle strip along with the body fat. And that is really not something you want, because then you look in the mirror and it really targets the stomach area a lot and say, well, I lost the weight, but now look at my stomach area. So that's not what you want. People with obesity are more likely to develop a number of potential serious health problems. And you don't want that either. So you got to have a lifestyle change. You get heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol levels, which are at risk for type 2 diabetes, end up having a fatty liver, again, as I said. And the frustration and the stress alone is just not worth it. So a lifestyle change would be better. The latest estimates are that approximately 34% of adults and 15 to 20% of children and adolescents in the United States are obese. Obesity affects every segment of the United States population, and also is a global problem. And so what ends up happening, you get angry and ask, why am I not losing weight? Why not do the best thing you could do for your body, which again is, I'm going to keep reiterating it, your lifestyle change. Is something that you want to incorporate on a daily, consistent basis, and determining and finding out what is really best for your body, what your body does like, and what your body doesn't like. Everybody's body is not the same. So you can't look at Susie over here, and Susie, she lost 20 pounds, and let's say, in about 2 months. But we have to look at what part of, how much more percentage of her body is fat and muscle. Then you look at Doris down here, and she's trying to lose weight, and she only lost 20 pounds, and it took her 3 months. You can't gauge your success on someone else's, what they're doing. So you shouldn't even compare yourself, because nobody's body is the same, okay? So we must change, period, to which becomes part of our daily intake, spaced out. And one of the most successful things that you can do is meal prep. That leads to healthy eating. Long time ago, you used to see our mothers, our parents go grocery shopping, and they would get vegetables, they would boil them, they would store them, they would freeze them, they would put things in the refrigerator for the kids to be able to snack on, which were healthy. They were meal prepping. And so we got away from a lot of those things. So in order to do this, let's get to some healthy nutrients. Your healthy nutrients are proteins, carbohydrates, and fat proteins. Proteins are often called the body's building blocks, and that's what's most important to understand and identify what protein does. And once you hear why, not just someone telling you to eat this, but why am I telling you? Why is this person saying it? Why do I hear it everywhere I go? Well, proteins, they build tissue, they repair tissue as well, and they build the immune system by fighting infection, and they use extra protein for energy. That's what protein does, and that's why it's so important. The next thing we want you to understand, with everything that's going on today, with all the different viruses going on, especially coronavirus, the most important thing that you should be doing right now is building your immune health and boosting your immune health, building your body's immunity. these are like seriously trying times, and we need to boost our immunity. We need to make sure by all means possible, if we are affected, that we have the best fighting chance. And so that's another reason why we really sat down and thought about this episode. We want you to avoid eating processed foods. It's like there's a drastic reduction that we want you to look into, and that's eliminating sugars and starch. Look at that intake, okay? And okay, they said, well, you want me to eliminate that? Okay, well, then if you want me to eliminate it, what do you want me to do next? I want you to choose plant-based whole foods. I want you to look at foods in their whole form. I know that sounds crazy, but we're going to identify what you need to be looking at, okay? The benefit of plant-based proteins are they're found in dairy groups. Proteins from plant sources tend to be lower in saturated fats. They contain no cholesterol, and they provide fiber and other health-promoting nutrients. And that's what we need to, and we're going to get into what those nutrients are. So get your pen and paper, get your shopping list ready, and guess what else? If you miss what I'm saying, go back and replay the episode again. Keep replaying this because you're going to have to do that to get it all in. One thing in your shopping list that I want you to talk about from nutrients and proteins are fruits. You want to get berries, citrus fruits, pears, peaches, pineapples, bananas, along that lines. You want to get vegetables, kale, spinach, tomatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, asparagus, peppers. You want to also get some starchy vegetables as well, some potatoes, some sweet potatoes, butternut squash, along those lines. Also, we're going to talk about this whole grain. You want brown rice, rolled oats, farro, quinoa, brown rice, and barley. You want to look into things like that. When I say rice, I mean brown rice. Don't forget brown rice. And then you want to look at some healthy fats, okay? And we're going to get into that later in this segment about why you want to get healthy fats such as avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, unsweetened coconut oil as well. And also one of our favorites that a lot of people don't talk about, which is legumes, which are peas, chickpeas, lentils, peanuts, black beans, anything more so in the bean family, because that gives you a lot of protein. A lot of people don't really know that, but beans and peas give you a lot of proteins. And another thing too is seeds, nuts, and nut butter. Almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, natural peanut butter. And we're going to go back to this butter, the peanut butter, the nuts. We're going to go back to that because these nutrients right here are some things that the body just can't make. It just can't make some of the proteins that we need. Unsweetened plant-based milk, coconut milk, almond milk, cashew milk. Those are some healthy milks that you can also incorporate and include in your diet. Spices and herbs. One of my favorites is, I just keep telling my husband I want an herb garden. We got basil, rosemary, turmeric, curry, black pepper, salt, things of that nature. A lot of people are slowly finding out a little bit about some of the things that are near and dear to me. I love gardening. I love putting my hands in the soil, but it's all been about flowers. But now I really want a garden, a vegetable garden, and I also want a herb garden because I just really like growing things and just the peace that I get from it and the time well spent. And so that's one of the things that's on my to-do list. Also, there's some condiments like salsa, mustard, nutritional yeast, soy sauce, vinegar, lemon juice. Those are the condiments that you actually that you can incorporate onto your foods and cook with your foods in different ways. And then some people like plant-based proteins that don't like meat, like tofu, tempeh, things of that nature, or sources or powders with no added sugar or artificial ingredients. And something else that'll give you some protein, believe it or not, is coffee, tea, and sparkling water. Okay, and also supplementing your plant-based diet with animal products, you can do this as well. Choose quality products from the grocery store, yet or bet purchase from local farms. And there's a reason behind why we say purchase from local farms. Some people say, well, what difference does it make where I buy my food at? Well, there's a big difference, so we're going to get into that in this segment. But also, what we want you to look at, too, is pasture-raised eggs, free-range organic poultry, also pasture and grass-fed beef and pork if you want to eat meat, also wild-caught seafood from sustainable fisheries, and organic dairy products from pasture-raised animals. And there's a reason for that, because these animals and these fish and things that they're raised organically, and they're not fed like steroids to make them bigger. They don't have all of these antibiotics in them, because they're raised naturally, pasture fed. They're raised naturally. And so let's look at some of the benefits of why you want to purchase from locally grown food farmers. And let's identify some of the benefits for you. It's often pesticide free. Many local food producers choose to use organic and natural pest repellents to preserve the health of the food they distribute. Foods processed by large-scale agriculture operations are often mass sprayed with pesticides, and you don't want that. You want to eat as natural to the source as you possibly can. And also, it's preservative free. You can't go look at a lab report on a lot of foods that are grown on the farms when you're picking them up at some of your grocers. You can't look at that. But something that you can do is, when foods are locally grown, sometimes you get to meet the farmers when you go to food markets, and you can ask, is this pesticide free? Is it preservative free? You can ask these things, because locally grown food doesn't require long trips to be transported across the country until they reach their final destination. And so that's a lot of the reasons why preservatives are put onto foods. But if they're from seed to shelf, then you know kind of what's kind of going on, and you're going to get a better quality of food. And so it offers improved nutrition. Eating locally grown foods can help deliver a high nutrient content. This is for a number of reasons, which includes the lack of chemicals as well as greater freshness. Local food is also a better way to ensure you eat seasonally. When you eat food that is grown within its natural seasons, the flavor, like the seasons that we have, summer, spring, and fall, because some foods are seasonal. The flavors are much fall. It's like a much, like, I want to say, fuller. It's seasoned, and it tastes better. You know what I'm saying? You're getting the best of the best in terms of getting your food locally grown. Have you ever noticed, like, when you go to the shopping centers or when you go to the supermarkets, your fruit and your vegetables, they don't last as long. A lot of times they start to have mold and mildew after just a few days, and you have to hurry up and rush to cook the food. Well, that's not how a lot of times it happens when you buy local. So those are some of the key factors. A lot of people also, this one is key. A lot of people have food sensitivities to preservatives, hormones, and other food chemicals. Locally grown food is a great option to combat this. You have the opportunity again to speak with the growers one-on-one and ask, has the food been preserved? If it has, what's on it? In a larger store, you just don't have the opportunity. You get what you see, and that's it. You can't turn around and ask the produce manager, well, I need a rundown. They're not going to give you a rundown. You better get it. You just move around, because they're not giving you that. And locally grown food can help support any possible digestion issues that people with food allergies experience with other types of foods. And one of the main benefits is, once you start to eat healthy, you want to continue to eat. It just becomes a lifestyle change. Eating a well-balanced diet, when you choose to buy locally grown food, you can incorporate more healthy proteins, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains into your diet. You can do these. Melesha, I just want to ask her, what is her take on starting this process this way? Melesha, what's your thought process when you start the process this way? Just give us a couple of pointers of what your thoughts are.
Well, Debbie, you basically described my whole coaching practice, because this is what I teach my clients in a systematic way to help them to, I call it crowd out foods. So we want to get rid of the sugar and all the sodium and all the processed and bad foods. But normally what I do is I try to start with just adding in clean foods. I take my clients we do grocery store tours, we do farmers market tours, and exactly what you said, so people can talk to the farmers and see how the food is grown, and get really fresh food that doesn't come from California or Chile or wherever it's coming from. So getting fresh food is really key. So you really broke everything down, talking about the the beans and the legumes and the whole grains and getting your vegetables. One of the things I normally do, Debbie, with my clients at the beginning of our journey to wellness is we start off with smoothies, because that's a great way to get your vegetables, your fruit.
Yes.
You can put some nut butter in there, some good protein powder, and that way it's going to give you some nutrient-dense foods. It's going to get directly into your blood system, and it's packed with vitamins and nutrients. And just doing that consistently can really turn your health around and start you to burning fat, losing fat, and help you to stop the yo-yo dieting, because you're going to be getting good, clean, healthy foods into your diet. And so that's basically what, how I start my clients. And so basically what you said is what I do with my clients. And eating clean, you can never go wrong with eating clean foods, getting as much plant-based. And so a lot of people are afraid that when you tell them that they're going to do plant-based, they're like, oh, no, I'm not giving up my meat, and oh, no, I'm not giving up my soda. But you know what? To me, when you get sick enough, and you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're tired of that roller coaster, that yo-yo dieting, you come to a point where, okay, I have to make some real lasting changes, and adding more plants and vegetables and into plant-based foods into your diet is the quickest way to turn around your health. I was sick for 7 years. I could not walk. I was addicted to pain medicine. My body was racked in pain. I was sick. I thought I was going to die. And you know what I did? I turned my health around in 3 short weeks. This is what I did. It's called bioindividuality. So what I do.
Well, we don't want to give away too much. We just want to. We're gonna get to that in a minute. We got a lot more to cover with them. We really do. So we're going to get back to that in a minute. So give us a second here. Melesha is so passionate about really helping people. And we both of us have a story. And we're both going to share those stories in a minute about what we did, how we did it, why we did it. Okay? How, what, when, where. We're going to get to that in a minute. So we're getting there. But one of the things, too, that I really, really want to talk about is that this is part of going back to your roots. When we were children, you got to think about when people went and they were planting, when families had gardens. Think about that. Just think about when you actually, what the benefit of is when you take your children and grandchildren to the orchards to look at food grown in its whole state, to look at, say, I'm going to the apple orchard, and you give them that understanding of unity, where you came from, who you are, what this is culturally. You're able to give this to them for them to understand the difference between processed foods and the difference between whole foods. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to go plant-based. A lot of you were raised on plant-based, but you just got away from everything that you were taught. You got away from the traditions of your grandparents, your parents, because what you wanted to do is you wanted to live this fast lifestyle. So what goes along with the fast lifestyle is packing on the pounds and looking in the mirror one day and not even realizing, understanding who you are. And so I want to just look at I want to even go deeper into the health side of this. I want to go even deeper. Specifically, you should focus on flavonoids with antiviral properties. And I know a lot of you say, okay, what the heck is that? Okay, so we're going to get into that now. I want people to look at epicatechin scalate, which is green tea. Okay, I gave you 2 different pronunciations for it, but it really means green tea. There's plenty of flavonoids in green tea that actually really helps your immune system. Another one is hesperidin. And these are citrus fruits. Anything that's citrus fruits are hesperidins, okay? Camperol, which is in the green family, the leafy family of spinach, cabbage, dill. Lauric acid, which is unrefined virgin, I would say coconut oils. I'm not going to say the other one. I'll just say coconut oil. And it's unrefined. So when you're buying this at the store, look for unrefined virgin coconut oil. Okay, Alerapin, that's olives, and extra virgin olive oil. That's the one I had to stop myself from because that's a different group. and that's aloripin, and that's olives and extra olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. I want you to read that on the label. Extra virgin olive oil or unrefined virgin coconut oil, okay? Quercetin, that's dill, onions, oregano, chili peppers, apples, and leafy green broccolis. Those are the type of foods that really, really help you with your immune health, and they have flavonoids, which has been defined by science. And trying to add the following antiviral and immune boosting herbs and spices to your meal, you can prepare this for yourself, for your family, because we all are trying to stay healthy. But you know, these are things that we need to do, okay? And so some of the immune boosting herbs are chili peppers, oregano, rosemary, turmeric. I put every turmeric on everything almost. Fresh garlic and ginger. This one right here is something that I want people to also think about. A lot of people say, I'm gonna, Melesha, I want you to horn in on this one with me. A lot of people talk about, I'm gonna go and have a drink. I'm having a lifestyle change. I gotta lose this weight. Blah 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 blah. But that's the worst thing you can do. That's self-sabotage. Okay, I didn't say I didn't say you can't have a social drink, but you just can't drink and think you're going to lose weight, because it's going to pack the pounds on you. Alcohol-related weight gain targets all age groups. Alcohol causes weight gain by giving you too many calories. And also it makes you hungry. Have you ever noticed that when you drink alcohol, you get hungry quicker, and you also crash and burn, okay? And then it increases your impulse. And the worst thing of all, it redistributes fat. Almost all alcoholic beverages lead to weight gain. But there's one in particular, there's an exception to the rule, which is red wine. Red wine seems to have somewhat of a protective role against weight gain. Why is this? And I really looked into it, and it has been researched. Drinking 2 glasses of red wine can help you lose weight. It does the opposite. The studies were conducted at Washington State University and Harvard Medical School. And in those studies, they claim polyphenols cause resveratrol, which is present in red wine, helps in losing weight. So that's something that you can look into and say, okay, this is another lifestyle change. I'm going to drink red wine. I'm going to incorporate this. I didn't say every single night of the week, but maybe once a week, something like that. You can do that, and I just want to know, to ask my co-host today, what's her, real perspective on this. Felicia, what's your perspective on people gaining weight? Have you counseled people in your practice about drinking alcohol, why they need to stop if we're trying to get healthy? What's your take on that?
Well, most of my clients, actually, I don't have too many clients that drink alcohol too much, but I would say definitely if they want to drink red wine is great because of the resveratrols and the healing properties of the red wine. And if I would go a little bit step further, if you're going to drink red wine, make sure the grapes come from organic wine. There's some good
That's right.
organic grape, organic grape red wine out there, because those, you don't even want those to have the pesticides on those, because the pesticides can be disruptors to your immune system, since we're talking about immune cell health. So if you're going to drink wine, then organic wine, and it's not that much more expensive than regular wine. And if you notice, getting cleaner foods is really not as expensive as it used to be. Organic fruits and vegetables used to be very expensive, so then you can get them at a very low cost these days, or the same as regular price as the regular conventional growing food. So just take your time and look at what you're buying and compare prices, and then when you go to the farmer's market, like you said, you can get them really fresh and clean. So like most of my clients do not drink a lot of wine or drink much, but that's what I would say. If they're going to drink, that would be what I would suggest.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I do is I tell people, why don't you take a trip to the winery? Why don't you, take a trip to the winery and understand how wine is made? and go to your local winery, or take a weekend away and go to the winery. Some wineries have where you can actually stay for the weekend and you can taste wines, and you can ask to understand the process of red wines and even go further with them. And this is something that you can do. And it doesn't always have to be boring. Life is what you make it. And if you decide that, I'm going to get some extra ideas and be extraordinary in my process, you can be. You don't have to make everything feel like this is a job. Oh my God, I hate this. If it's a lifestyle change, you're not going to hate it. You're going to love it. And that's one thing you need to do. Tell yourself, this is my lifestyle change. So now I'm going to talk about something that I love talking about, and that's polyphenols. Or maybe let me explain what they are. They are micronutrients. Then we get through there's micronutrients and macronutrients. And then people are like, what the heck is that? Okay. And polyphenols can improve or help treat digestive issues, weight management, difficulties with diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases, and cardiovascular diseases. And that's why it's important to make sure that you include macronutrients and micronutrients. And I'm going to explain what they are, okay? And what they do. Macronutrients, they provide energy and carbohydrates, proteins, fats, water, fiber. And I want you to write this down. How many grams? I'm going to say it again. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, water, and fiber. That's what micronutrients are. You eat more. Macro means more. So you're going to eat more of that than micronutrients. Micronutrients are just what they say, micro, small nutrients. And those nutrients are in the sources of milligrams instead of grams. There's a difference. Okay, and then the reason why we call them micronutrients is because they're known as vitamins and minerals. Okay, so let's go back again so you don't get confused. Macronutrients you want to measure that in grams. How many grams of carbohydrates am I going to eat? How many grams of protein am I going to eat? How many grams of fat am I going to eat? How many grams of water am I going to eat? How many grams of fiber am I going to eat? That's how you're going to really know. If you're saying grams, that's your macronutrients, and you need to consume a lot of that every day to get energy for your body. But now let's talk about micronutrients. Those are vitamins and minerals, and they don't contain calories, okay? And they're needed in much smaller amounts compared to macronutrients, which are the grams. They play a role in supporting daily activity and keeping your body working the way that it should be working. The vitamins and minerals are most notably involved in supporting good health. Let's look at what they are. In some micronutrients, they contain in some foods, which we identify as superfoods. The reason why is because they have micronutrients. Because you hear that word, superfoods. Okay, well, this is superfood, but ask yourself, well, why is it a superfood? Because it has micronutrients in it. And these are things like vitamin A, okay? And vitamin A, you can get it from orange foods like carrots, pumpkins, butterscotch, and peaches, as well as dark leafy greens like kale and spinach. Okay, write that down, please. Vitamin B, you get it from salmon, tuna, beef, whole grains like quinoa, potatoes, lentils, and beans. Vitamin C, you get it from fruits and veggies. Vitamin D, you get it from fortified dairy, mushrooms, salmons, and eggs. Vitamin E, you get it from you get it from sunflower seeds, peanut butters, almonds, and spinach. Okay, write that one down. Okay, that's very important for you to know. Vitamin D is the one that you get from salmon, okay, which is seafood. You can get that some things, but we'll say fish, okay? So be careful to understand what foods contain essential minerals. Calcium is an essential mineral. You get it from dairy, fortified orange juice, plant milks, tofu, dark leafy greens, and salmon. That's the calcium. Phosphorus, you get it from meat, dairy, nuts, soy, lentils, quinoa, pumpkin seeds, and sunflower seeds. And that's really important. You want to stay into your potassiums. That's important too. You get it from meat, milk, vegetables, whole grains, beans, and legumes. Sulfur, that's another thing. You get it from organ meat, beef, chicken, pork, peaches, and some dairy orange and garlic. Dairy onions. some dairy, some onions, and some garlic. I hate onions, and that's every time I think about onions, I just go, so you got sodium. I hate them. And you know something, I hate to say it, but I just think they're so funky. You go to lunch, you eat some onions, the person comes back to work and they were like, what the heck happened to you? And it's embarrassing, so I just don't eat onions at all.
I eat a lot of garlic and onions. I just go around stinking a lot.
Say, oh no, say that again. Girl, stop it. It's too early in the morning. And then another thing, too. We're going to skip on past with the word onions. But I'll cook them in some foods from time to time when I feel sorry for my family. Like I'm starving them of onions. And another thing that's great for us too is sodium, and we get those from root vegetables and table salt. Lord Jesus. And also, stop it. Also, chloride, you get it from table salt. You want to look at magnesium. That's a really important one. That's your spinach, your broccoli, your legumes, which is beans and peas, your pumpkin seeds and whole bread. And you also want to make sure you get that iron in there, which is meat, beans, dark leafy greens, whole grains, and nuts. Now, this one right here, this is very important, zinc. You know, because that's been told to help us with this COVID-19. And you're going to get it from meat, beans, darky leafy greens, and whole grains and nuts. Okay, so that's our iron. So that's important. That's important too for the COVID-19, which I said again. So I'm going to reiterate this one and bring this one into play, zinc. And that's very important for COVID-19. And you get it from oysters, meat, shellfish, legumes, and whole grains. So that's important too. So the iron in the zinc, you get some of that. So let's go back. Whole grains, you can get it from iron and zinc, okay? And then also you can get some whole grains also from your meats, the type of meats that you eat, and that's from your iron, okay? Then you want to go into the zinc and say, okay, the zinc is going to give me the seafood. So think about it like that. So if you want to, say for instance, you're going to have some shrimp or something like that. So then you're going to get your intake of zinc, okay? Now, also, another thing from shellfish, you can get copper from shellfish. Also, you can get copper from nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans, and prunes, okay? So those are things that, again, I want you to really write down on your list. Oyster meat, shellfish, legumes, and whole grains for zinc. Iron, you want to get your meat, beans, dark leafy greens, whole grains, and nuts. Copper, you want to get your shellfish again, nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans, and prunes. Those are three of the micronutrients that you should really stay on top of. And also manganese, you get it from whole grains, nuts, leafy vegetables, and teas. If you notice, you keep hearing vegetables, because that's what you need, okay? All right, so you're going to keep hearing that. Psyllium, you get it from organ meat, seafood, and walnuts, okay? Chromium, you get it from broccoli, potatoes, green beef, chicken, turkey, apples, bananas, and whole grain and dairy. Fluoride, you get it from black tea, raisin, shrimps, crab, grape juice, wine, and water. These are some of the things that we must include in our diets. We must have these things. And so that's why I want you to stick to getting your essential minerals and your essential vitamins, which are micronutrients. And then our macro, let's recap it again. And then our macronutrients, those are our carbohydrates, our proteins, our fats, our waters, and our fibers. And it's up to us about how we do this and how we work this in. We work this in our magic plate when we're coaching. We teach you how to really eat the foods and integrate the foods that work well together to help you to lose weight. And that there's no new invention about this. There's studies behind these, but some people just don't know how to do it. And we don't just tell you to lose weight. We tell you to lose weight for different reasons, as Melesha said, which I'm going to let her open this one again. We tell you to lose weight because we want to keep you on a preventative scale from disease. Or if you do have inflammation in your body, which leads to disease, How can we combat it by eating? I'm going to give Melesha the mic on that one because that's something that's near and dear to her. And Melesha, with that part being said, I'm going to give you the mic because I want to spotlight you on this because I know you're really good at it. Go ahead, Melesha, take it.
Well, let me just go back just a little bit from what you were talking about. Everything you said was amazing. It was great, but just about the polyphenols, just a little bit, because they play a big role in antioxidants, and so antioxidants are known to combat cell damage. So you are eating all the foods that we talked about and getting those essential vitamins and minerals and those micro and macronutrients, you are adding antioxidants to your body. So if you have a diet that is full of green leafy vegetables and lots of berries and fruits and good meats, those are going to bring your body, it's going to help your immune system to get stronger, and it's going to help you to get healthier. And so when you add those polyphenols, it can help with type 2 diabetes, and it can help with inflammation, and we talk a lot about inflammation. It also helps with the prevention of heart disease, strokes, and those type of obesity. And so when you get those polyphenols and get those good macro and micronutrients in your body, it's going to bring your body, you're going to start healing. You're going to start feeling better because you're going to be healing your body from the inside out. You may not see it, but it will show up as your skin is going to get brighter, your nails are going to start getting stronger and longer, your hair is going to grow, and you're just going to feel better, and you'll just start radiating from the inside out. And so that's what I share as a health coach, because in a lot of things that Debbie's talking about, sometimes it's hard to do it by yourself. That's why you need a little bit of help sometimes, and that's where health coaches and life coaches come in, because we're going to help you every step of the way so that you're adding all the things in a little bit at a time. And we don't want you to be overwhelmed, but yes, you need all the things that Debbie talked about. You need them, and they play such a vital role in your health. And sometimes you need just a little bit of help navigating what to do, how to do it, when to do it, all those things. And so, but our health is the most valuable commodity we have, and we have to take care of our bodies from head to toe. And so that's what I do, that's what I love, and that's what I love talking about. But I want you to be your best self ever. And during this day of COVID, we have the opportunity to turn things around, get our immune system strong, get our body strong so we can combat, the ravaging effects of what a lifestyle that high processed foods and lots of sugar and bad fats, it's gonna destroy you. And it really will. So we don't have to be destroyed. We can live a life. We can be happy. We can be healthy. And it takes eating properly, and it's hard.
It
sometimes.
is.
But you know what? It's so good. In my journey, I didn't eat a lot of the fresh fruits and vegetables, but now it's just opened up a whole new world for me. When I bite into a big, juicy, sweet peach, and it gives me a rush of sugar. I mean, that's the best sugar. You know what I'm saying? And so that's we learn. We have to reprogram our minds to eating what's good for us. And because when I think about when I put in foods in my body, I think about, does the food bring life, or is it going to bring death?
Oh, and yes. So, that's the big one. Life or death. You choose. Yeah. You choose if you want to live. Do you want to live? If you want to live, then you're going to have to make a lifestyle change. And that becomes by habit change. And so many people say, I don't want to do this. But you tell them, okay, either you live or you die. It's up to you. And what do you want your quality of life to be? And when I really, really want people to listen to me, when they start cutting off your legs and your feet and your toes, they start with your toes first, and then your feet, then your legs, and you start losing stuff, and gangrene sets up because you have diabetes. You would have wished that you listened. And it gets real then. And people, when people start losing things, that's when they start to listen. And so we want to get you before you get to that point. We want to get you so you never get to that point. We want to get you because we want reality to actually really set in. We want to get you before to make these changes before you start having valves that are closing in your heart. We want to get to you before this type of inflammation becomes an issue for you. We want to get to you before your digestive tract starts to actually literally shut down and you're ending up with Crohn's disease. You're ending up with colitis. We want to get to you before these things happen to you. It's not always about how good you look. Mostly it should be about how good you feel. Okay. Absolutely. And so that's what we want to get to. We want to get to you before these things happen and your body is suffering. And the next thing that you know, that you start to exhibit symptoms and you go to the doctor. And now once you're a diabetic, you're always a diabetic. It remains in your medical chart. It never comes out of your chart that you are diabetic. Just because you feel better doesn't mean that you're still not a diabetic. So some things are irreversible. So if you knew you were doing this to yourself, if you knew you were doing things that were not healthy for you, and some of the things that, I'm also, we're going to go a little longer today because we're really, really getting into some serious areas, and we need to spotlight these areas for you, okay? And we're going to talk about, I'm trying to I'm jumping to everything in a crash course in this one segment with us together, okay? And one thing that a lot of people do, they eat a lot of sweet things. And we tell people avoid sugar and refined grains. Avoid that like the plague. Because why? It's just a sugar burn. Next thing you know, you got all this energy, and that energy is burning through you so fast. It's going through your body so fast that you literally crash and burn. And then you're craving and you're hungry all over again because your body is, your intake is too much sugar. But when you do it the other way around, like Melesha said, okay, I start my day off with a smoothie. I start my day off, either I have a smoothie. If I don't have a smoothie, then I have a really big, I'm going to say is a cup. It's huge. And it's like 16 ounces of tea. I start my morning with one of those two. No, it's nothing in between. It has to be one of those two. And the reason why I do that is because when we're releasing energy into our body slowly, you have more energy. When you eat like this, you're releasing your energy slow. I know it sounds crazy, but you're releasing is a slow burn. And so a slow burn gives you more energy. And that's why we tell you fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, and whole grains, or diets that are high in fiber. Okay, because what they do is that it's a whole process. They normalize our bowel movements. They increase, the dietary fiber. It helps you to increase the size of your stool. It softens it. It helps maintain your bowel health, lowers your cholesterol levels. It's something that you want because once you start getting blockage and they tell you, okay, well, we're going to do a heart cath on you. Okay, well, that didn't work. So now we're going to do angioplasty on you. Okay, that didn't work. We're going to do full open heart surgery on you. Wouldn't you rather just eat right rather than to go to this extreme? And then the next thing you know, you're on blood thinners. You got all this stuff going on because you just didn't listen. So wouldn't it be better for you to help control blood sugar levels and aid in achieving healthy weight? Or do you want to be hard-headed and go the other route? So all this, go ahead, Felicia. Go ahead, Melesha.
I'm going to jump in just 1 second because what you said is exactly right. But what I believe is even if you are sick, you can turn things around. You really can. You don't have to stay sick. You don't have to be sick.
No.
Yes, you may have that diabetes in your chart, but that doesn't mean in your head that you can say in my head, I am not a diabetic. I'm refusing to take on that moniker for the rest of my life. So you can turn things around. And in my heart of hearts, I truly believe food is medicine and food changes everything.
Well, yeah, you can eat to live, but what I'm saying to you, there are consequences for not eating right. There's consequences. So say, for instance, you want to go get life insurance. And then when you decide to get life, we're trying to tell you what the consequences are. So say, for instance, you go get life insurance. And next thing you know, they request your medical records And next thing you know, your premiums are sky high because you got diabetes, where you didn't have to have it. You didn't have to have it. You just kept drinking the sodas. You just kept gaining the weight. Fat kept sitting in your stomach. These are things, there's consequences behind this. Yeah, we can help you. If you are sick, we can help you to identify what you should be eating, things you should be doing. But why get sick if you don't have to? Why be sick and change the quality of life if you don't have to? I'm a person, I will work with you if you are sick, but I also want to teach you how to not be sick.
And
okay?
I love that about you, Debbie, because all you teach, you talk about prevention, which is so key. So
it is. Yeah, it is. And so that's the reason why I'm identifying all these different things. It took me forever to put all this together, but I got it done. Okay, it wasn't like I just said, this is something that has to be talked about, needs to be talked about, and we're going to talk about it today. And, there's things like when I make my smoothies, I put hemp seeds in them. I put flax seeds in them, okay? Like when I do my hemp seed, then I'll take some of my CBD and do my hemp seed oil. And then I'll put my flax seeds in the whole form in the blender, okay? So these are some of the things that have essential omega-3 fatty acids that your body can't make, okay? And like a lot of people that are vegans, they eat seaweed, and it's nutrient-dense foods, and that's one of your things that you like to talk about. So Melesha's going to bring that one up. But what we want to do is we want you to look at essential fatty acids that help the body to function. But the body doesn't make these. You have to consume these, okay? And we want to talk and spotlight about healthy fats and unhealthy fats and what type of fats to avoid. But there are certain things that we want you to look at, like your omega, okay? And so with that part being said, Melesha, I'm going to give you the floor on that one because you spotlighted that a few minutes ago. Then we're going to jump into the bad fats, the good fats, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to give you the mic back, Melesha.
Well, fat has been, a few years ago,
the nutrient dense.
That fat was bad, and so that's really how we became so unhealthy because they took all the fat out of our diet, and then they created this low-fat diet, and then they added all the sugar into our foods. And so, but we need fats. We need good fats. Avocados, they're full of fats. They're great fats. They're so good for your skin and your nails. Avocado oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil is a fantastic oil to cook with.
I got your back. I got your back on it. Don't worry about it.
Safflower oil, coconut oil, and coconut oil is good. You can put in your hair, you can put on your face, you can cook with it, you can put on your feet, you can do everything with coconut oil. So, but no, those are good oils to eat, and they are not going to cause harm to your body. It's going to make your body better. It's going to make your body even burn better fat. Bad fats are going to be like vegetable oils. Now, if you're going to do canola oil, you make sure that you get canola oil that is non-GMO. And we haven't talked about genetically modified, but there are canola oils that are non-GMO. GMO is genetically modified, and corn is one of our most genetically modified sources that we grow here in the United States. So, but yeah, those are avocados. Avocado oils are great. Grapeseed oil, those are good oils. I use them all the time, and they're healthy oils. There's nothing wrong with them.
Right. So let's talk about we're gonna get on the fat one because that's real good for us to spotlight and talk about here today too. There's certain kinds of fats that are bad for you, and those are saturated fats and trans fats. Trans fats, which is short for fatty acids. Trans fats can be found in mostly processed foods, and fats that contain mostly trans fats and saturated fats are solid at room temperature. So anything that's a solid fat at room temperature, that's not something you really want to get into in terms of your natural diet. So these are so the things that Melesha was really spotlighting was the monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats. But before we really go deep dive into that one, let's talk about what we want you to avoid by all means necessary. And those are trans fats. You must avoid trans fats because they're not healthy for you. And we're going to tell you what it leads to. Doctors worry most about trans fats because it increases the risk for heart attack, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Those are like baked goods such as cookies, cakes, and pies, shortening instead of like she said, instead of the better oils, which we're going to talk about, microwave popcorn and crackers, frozen pizza, refrigerated dough such as biscuits and rolls and things of that nature, fried food including French fries, donuts, and fried chicken. I mean, I put my family, they're like, well, when can we get some fried food? Well, I'll give you some fried chicken maybe once every 2 weeks. You can have some fried chicken, but other than that, don't even think about it. Everything is baked, broiled, or barbecue. I'm sorry. And it's good for you, and it tastes good. Non-dairy coffee creamer and margarine. You need to be careful but now what we're finding out is that a lot of food companies are moving away from trans fats. A lot of them are moving away from that. They're slowly moving away, okay? And also saturated fats and trans fats. Those are the ones you want to keep away from. So those are the bad two. I call them the bad two, and then I call the other ones the good two. So that's what I say. These are your bads and these are your goods, okay? So doctors have also linked trans fats to increased risk for inflammation in the body. This inflammation, again, is heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. Saturated fats occur naturally in many foods. The majority come from animal sources, including meat and dairy products. So that's something to think about. Family beef, lamb, pork, poultry with skin, beef fat, lard and cream, butter, cheese, and other dairy products made from reduced fat, like 2% milk. In addition, also, many baked goods and fried foods contain high levels of saturated fats. And that's really important for you to understand. So sometimes it's even important, we teach and train on understanding labels, understanding other words, understanding other words that people use for different kind of fats. You have to learn how to really read your labels, and we teach you that. We don't just say, okay, it's not always going to say saturated fats. It's going to have different words that mean the same thing. Some plant-based oils such as palm oil, palm kernel oil, coconut oil also contain primarily saturated fats, but they do not contain cholesterol. So that's something else for you to look at. Those type of things, okay? And so we want you to limit your intake to say, okay, well, I can't just change everything all at one time. Can I do this slowly? Yes. And your goal is to get to 10% of these type of calories in a day. Just 10% of these type of saturated fats, and it will be tolerable. And then you want to replace saturated fats and trans fats with monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats. Okay? And these oils, these are the good type of oils that you want to be able to incorporate into your diet. Because why? These fats lower your chance of heart disease when they're replaced when they replace saturated fats. They lower heart disease, okay? Polyunsaturated fats help with weight loss. That's key. And they reduce the risk of heart disease. And they also help with the decrease of inflammation in your body, which leads to some serious diseases, okay? And that's something that we want to look at. And which foods contain monounsaturated fats, like Felicia said, olive oil, and then also almonds, cashews, which are also peanuts, pistachio, olives, pumpkin seeds, porks, avocados, Felicia's favorite, sunflower seeds, and eggs, okay? And eggs. And many of larger families, like say for instance, if you come from a large family, parents had gardens. Our parents had gardens. And we grew up on plant foods and whole foods almost every night of the week because it was affordable. If I ask my mom, what we having for dinner? Beans. What we having for dinner? Greens. What we having for dinner? Sweet peas. What we having for dinner? Potatoes. What we having for dinner? Green beans. What we having for dinner? Lima beans. What we having for dinner? Beans, greens, and beans, and corn. And what we having for dinner? Sweet potatoes. What we having? Mom, what you growing in the garden? Watermelon, cantaloupe. These are the things that we grew up on. When we went out to play, when we were kids, we didn't come in the house for hours. We played kickball, basketball, baseball, football, anything, dodgeball, kickball. We played. When we got hungry, we didn't go in the house. We went in the trees. Because in our neighborhood where we grew up, people had 9 and 8 and 10 kids. We came from a family, it was 8 of us. So it was a lot of us. So neighbors got together, okay? And this is something you don't see anymore. This one was like, I'm going to plant this kind of tree. I'm going to plant this. I'm going to plant that. And we grew up in a neighborhood like that. Mr. and Mrs. Beard, they had apples. Mr. Wilson lived directly behind us. They had grapes. Miss Penelope, she lived next door to us. She had vegetables. Miss Clark, she lived about 4 doors down. She had a pear tree. And we had a neighbor like about maybe 8 houses down that had mulberries. Everyone on our block had something in their garden. And that is how we made ends meet. It was necessary and it was a tradition. That's what it was. We've gotten away from the basics. And another thing, we could smell green tea growing, the leaves. We could smell them, and we knew where to pick them when we smelled them. So we didn't have money for sugar. But what we would do is we would go home and boil. We'd take the leaves, pick it, go home and boil them, and then we would put sugar, and we would have sweet tea. Okay, there was no money for processed foods and sugary drinks, sodas, and things of that nature because our moms and neighbors grew the food that were needed for families. And nobody asked, can I come and pick in your yard? When the parents sat down and they all formed an alliance to keep food on the table, everybody had a place in it. Okay? And when we went fishing, families went together. We went fishing in the Great Lakes of Michigan. And our families had trout, bass, crappies, and bluegills. Our families fished for that. And they would go home and clean the fish, throw them in the freezer. And we had fish all year round. Then our fathers and our parents would go hunting. And they would bring back deer and things that, like they would bring back meat. And so this is what families did to not be hungry. We had no choice. But guess what? We had a lot less disease. We had a lot less obese people. We had a lot less obese kids. And we had a lot of people that lived longer, healthier lives. And what we're trying to do is show you based on the science. Let's help you get back to your, all we're doing is taking you back to the roots. Okay, that's all we're really doing is taking you back to your roots and showing you if you grew up on processed foods, which if you are a Gen Z or a Gen Xer, you did. If you are a millennial, you did. If you are a baby boomer, you did and you didn't, depend on what your income level was. Because it was shake and bake and all that stuff. And instead of boiling potatoes, people were using mashed potatoes that you could just get out the box. But this is, again, processed food. Okay, but what you have to look at, you could tell the children that grew up on processed foods and the children that grew up with natural foods because they were healthier, they were cut, they didn't have fat on their bodies, they were always running, playing, jumping, doing something. Okay, and so this is what you look at. It was very few kids that had diabetes. You look at all those things. It wasn't a lot of kids that were really sick. The kids were running, playing, being bad, jumping. And so now kids are in the house and they're playing games. Well, what do? You get your kids back to the basics. You get them in the yard. This is the perfect time. COVID-19 is going on. Get them in the yard and do something with them. You know what I'm saying? Play volleyball. Put up a volleyball net. Do something. I told my grandchildren, I said, okay, you know what? We going out in the yard and we're going to cook in the yard. And they were like, well, why are we cooking in the yard? Why can't we cook in the house? I said, we don't want to cook in the house. You need to learn how to eat outside. You need to learn what food smells like when you're cooking outside. So my husband broke out the grill. I broke out the griddle. We were cooking pancakes. My husband was over there doing something on the grill. And we actually ate in the yard. And I told him, and this summer, we ate and grilled in the yard more than any other time because we needed to make the best out of what's going on with COVID-19. And we've also developed some traditions for the children that when they come over, instead of you being in the house, you're not going to be just sitting in the house. I went to the store and got some water guns. We had water fights, balloon fights. Let's make this about getting back to the basics. This is what we grew up on. That's what's wrong with incorporating that into tradition and with your families. And so with that part being said, I'm going to give it back to my co-host, and we're going to close out after that.
I was thinking when you were talking, I know here in Missouri where I live at, we've had a lot of people that have reverted going back to doing gardens again because people have been at home more now, and I think people are just a little bit afraid of where the food is coming from. So a lot of people are growing their foods more than ever, and we had gardens when I grew up. So it's funny how things are kind of turning back around again because people are sick and people are dying, and people realize that they need to get healthier and eat better foods, and so they're going to the farmer's market, they're getting those whole grains, they're getting those good fats, and they are planting their food, they're planting their herbs and teas and mints and things like that, and so, which is a good thing. And now people are learning about the difference of, not eating all the saturated fat, and what I will say is most things that come in a box have, they're going to be loaded with trans fat, even though here in the United States, a lot of companies are totally finally trying to get rid of the trans fat because they finally realized it was killing so many people. But anything that comes in a box is highly processed. It's going to have loads of sodium, sugar, and like you said, Debbie, what they've done, they've renamed stuff now. And so you don't really know what you're getting. And if it's stuff you can't pronounce, you don't want it anyway. And so that's why a plant-based and getting those polyphenols are just so important for your health. And so staying away from box foods and going out. I like going out in the sun, getting out. When you're out in the sun, you're getting that vitamin D, planting your gardens, planting your herbs, and it's great family time, and that's time. And I love what you're saying. Yesterday we grilled outside, and we went to the farmer's market with my granddaughter. Those are memories I have with my grandmother, going to the farmer's market, grilling outside, and so we're creating those memories again now with our kids and our grandchildren. So it's coming back around, but this is a time more than ever to do whatever it takes for us, for our kids, and for our grandchildren, to instill in them that our health is wealth. And
that's right, Melesha.
Taking care of ourselves is important, because I know for me, one of the reasons why I got healthy, Debbie, is I didn't want my husband to have to take care of me or my son to have to take care of me. And that's what a lot of my clients, they have that fear. A lot of them are single women, and they don't have anybody. They're like, if I get sick, then who's going to take care of me?
Well, we both have, I think, Melesha, I'm going to say this, we both have a story. And we both decided to eat to live. We decided not to live to eat. We decided to eat to live. And we're going to cover that on another story, because we're in our hour session now. We're going to cover that in another story. But one thing that I'm most proud of you, a lot of people know that we're CBD manufacturers also, and we have different delivery methods that we bring. And the way that I met Felicia, let's talk about that, Felicia, because it's time to laugh, girl. And I met her, and she said, oh, I don't really, with her squeaky voice, and I love her voice, I don't really want to incorporate anything. I don't know. I don't want to incorporate it. And I said, well, let me train you. And I've been training her. Let me train you based on science about CBD. Let me train you. And the one thing I said to her, I said, let me say something to you. If a person is having a full-blown meltdown in the middle of the night, how you gonna coach it? She said, well, I didn't think about that. I said, well, okay, so if a person tells you, that I want something to relieve this pain or something to soothe it, what are you gonna do? What you gonna coach them on? Are we know that we can teach you what to do in the long run, but what do we do for right here, right now? And so, Melesha, I'm going to let you take this story on, because it really is funny. And I think about her all the time in this story of how she started, how I explained CBD, have been training her on that, and how she really just took off with it, something she didn't really think was possible. And it was about her belief system not holding her back. She was able to jump into something. Now, I'm going to let you have it now. You go for it.
Well, I think for me is that I'm just gonna be honest. I really just wanted to teach my clients to eat better, think better, be better. But and then I realized is that sometimes we need a little bit more help. And so, no, I don't want nobody calling me at 5 o'clock in the morning talking about they stress and they can't sleep and they had a fight with their boyfriends, whatever. I don't want to hear it. But I always liked a more natural approach to wellness, and so and the CBD was really actually after I talked with Debbie, it really became a natural fit for my business, and it's a way for me to help my clients to get the results that they want quicker and faster, but with no tricks and gimmicks. The natural approach, and it will turn things around very quickly. And so, and just in the few weeks or couple of months I've been working with Debbie, I have my clients on the CBD, and I mean, I'm getting texts every day about how it is really turning their health around.
That's right.
And it's even doing a lot for me. I'm like, I didn't want to take CBD myself, but since I've been taking it, my mind is clear. I can focus more better. It's helping with my appetite, and it's helping me just to feel better. And so I'm so blessed that I was able to meet Debbie, and she turned my mind around about using it as a part of my wellness coaching, and I believe my clients are better for it. I'm a better coach because of it, and now I can see the results of my clients feeling better and having a more positive outlook on their wellness journey. And this is what we do as coaches. We want to change people's mind around, and it's no harm in getting some help, and to help them along the journey. So yes, I appreciate it. It's a funny story, and it's helping my clients. So,
and yes. We really share. I mean, this is one, like, I remember I sent her her supply, and I sent her enough, and I'm thinking, okay, well, she'll have this for a month. And she had just gotten a shipment on, I want to say, Sunday. And I think she called me Monday and said, I sold out of everything. I need some more. No, it was a Sunday she called me. She texted me and said, Debbie, I sold everything. And I was like, it hadn't even been a week. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll get you some more right out. And I was like, Lord Jesus. She said, I'm really, seriously, my clients are really, really seeing benefits. And I said, okay, but that's a whole nother show. And so
that is a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. But the point is that, we're looking at how can we really help people? How can we help them with a better quality of life? And so it takes really going deep, digging in to try to really help people. And that's where we really are. It's not about just a gimmick or anything like that. It's about really helping people with lifestyle changes. And so with that part being said, I just want to know, Melesha, how can people find you? If you're saying things that resonate, even though I'm a health coach, there's enough room for all of us, because guess what? The most important thing is changing the circumstances, the epidemics that are going on in our country with people medically that are going on. And if we can help them with a better lifestyle of teaching them how to eat, teaching them how to have, more practical thinking, teach them with lifestyle changes and lifestyle and health coaching, we can help them be better. So it doesn't matter. It's going to take a whole force of us to help people. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're helping, and we're not doctors, we're not physicians, we're not claiming to be. We just want to look at nutrition, mindset, lifestyle change, things of that nature, just to help you with things that have been documented in science. And that's where we're at. And so with that part being said, we want to find out, Miss Melesha Baily, how can people find you, girl?
Well, you can find me. I'll give you my website. But what I have done, I have developed a program. It's called the Let Go System: Live, Eat, and Transform. And so we want you, and I'm Debbie, her system, it all works together with Auspicious Wellness and what Debbie's doing. We want you to live your best life, eat great food, and transform your mind, body, and soul from the inside out. And so I've developed the Let Go System, and I would love to be able to just talk with you, share it with you, so you can reach me. My website is LOVE, the number 4, life, L-I-F-E, wellness.com, Love for Life Wellness, or you can find me on Facebook at Melesha's Love for Life Wellness, or my private page, which is Melesha Baily. I have a LinkedIn page, so I'm out there, Melesha Baily, Melesha Baily, Love for Life Wellness. I would love to just talk with you and see how I can help turn your life around, especially if you're dealing with diabetes, weight management issues, and stress. Those seem to be my specialty, and I love working with women. And if you need some help with that, I would love to be able to just have that conversation to help you turn things around quickly with no tricks or gimmicks.
That's right. That's right. And she's really good at what she does. And what makes her really good is because we both walked that tightrope. Both of us have walked it and have been successful in turning our health around. And so, once you really are on the edge and, you don't even know if you can come back from it, and you do come back from it, it's not you just came back. It's in the design of things. It's in the scheme of things, and it's your transformation. And it's really what God really, really, really puts on your heart to do. And it becomes a passion for you to be able to help other people. And by helping them through science-based techniques, not something that you just come up with, but people that are willing to understand the science behind what this is, why this is, how this is. And so that's very important. And so with those things being said, I'm extremely happy to have talked with you all today. This is Debbie Smith-Torrence. The name of my practice is Auspicious Wellness. The name of my podcast is Auspicious Wellness, Optimal Wellness. And we're excited. We're excited about all the different formulations we brought to market to be able to help people with a better quality of life, not just giving you something that's gimmicky. No, something that's going to help you with a lifestyle change based on science to soothe, promote, relief, and give you relief and to relieve you of some things that you're dealing with and working with. And it's all plant-based. It's all plant-based. Everything in Auspicious Wellness CBD products are all plant-based, natural extracts and nutrients along with CBD. Those are the things that we work with. And they're all third-party lab tested. It's not something we just whipped up in the kitchen. They're professionally formulated, and they are formulated in FDA registered facilities, and they're also tested for purity and potency with independent third-party lab testing as well. And so we just want to I don't know where we're going to end up. We're just going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into being able to help people. And Melesha is when the world opens back up again, she is one of the health coaches that will be working with me along with others. And these are going to be on our retreats as well, and they're going to be in picturesque places around the United States. And we're going to be touching all aspects of your life in different ways: life coaching, health coaching, eating healthy, exercise, all these different things. We've got some great people lined up. I've got some great guest co-hosts that are going to be coming in, doctors, physicians, life coaches, health coaches, holistic providers all around the country that are lining up, getting ready to work with you. And we're going to be spotlighting them. We don't need to it doesn't all have to be about me. It needs to be about us. And this is a global effort. It's global. So with that being said, I'm going to tell everybody, guess what? I love you. That's the way I want to end it, letting you know we love you. You love them, Melesha?
Love them. Love you, Debbie. Thank you so much. And I
too.
Can't wait to hear the rest of your podcast and all your other guests, that you are going to provide a lot of education for us as coaches and people, so that we all can get better in our lives. So I'm excited what you're doing, and God bless you, and thank you so much for having this platform for people to get healthier for that optimal wellness. Thank you, Debbie, so much.
All right, Miss Melesha, and we are going to be out of here, and we're going to get back to what we do best: go and help some folks. Talk to you later.
Thank you.